There's a power within you. It lifts your life to its highest level. It brings success, companionship, health, happiness, and peace of mind. As you tap into this power, it will respond to you because this power is within you. And that's why spirituality rocks. Welcome. I'm your host, Janine Burns. Very excited about this week's edition of Spirituality Rocks, where we teach practical spirituality. We teach New Thought, not New Age. There's a big difference. New Thought. New Thought teaches that the presence and power of God is within you. Whatever name you choose to call the power, God, infinite intelligence, spirit, divine love, this power seeks to express in you, through you, and as you. I hold my credentials with Emerson Theological Institute, and I do lots of weddings here on Long Island, as well as memorial services, and I also do spiritual coaching. This week on Spirituality Rocks, we have Dr. Marlene Bricker, who's the author of numerous books, and How Does Your Garden Grow is one of the ones that we're going to focus on this evening. And in the studio as my co-host is Barba Grimminger of the Center for Spiritual Living Long Island over in Hicksville. So we'll be meeting them in just a moment. But I want to talk to you a little bit today and tell you a story. And this is a true story. Back several decades, there was this little band, and they were a pretty good band. They played in local venues, and they began gaining notoriety and getting a name for themselves. And as they grew in popularity, the drummer of the band started to wrestle with his thoughts about whether he was worthy of being in the band. He thought that the other people in the band were really the band, and that he was pretty much the odd man out. And he was feeling so badly about this that he was seriously thinking of quitting. Well, he decided to confide in his friend, the lead guitar player. And much to this drummer's surprise, the lead guitar player said, "Oh, you should be telling me that because I was thinking that the rest of you were really the band and that I should quit." Well, later, the pair told one of the band's lead singers, who said that he too had doubts about whether or not he even belonged in the band. Well, let's jump from the story a moment, because I want you to check in with yourself. Have you ever been in a group and felt like you didn't belong? Or did you ever just feel that you didn't measure up somehow and that everybody else warranted being there but you? And have you ever thought that if people knew the real me, then they'd realize that, hey, I'm not really good enough to be out there, and that, oh, I don't really matter, or I'm not important, or that I don't make a difference? Have you ever had those kind of thoughts? Well, take heart, because if you have, you're in pretty good company, because you probably heard of this mystery band to which I was referring. And although the members didn't think that they fit in, and they didn't think they mattered, they didn't think they really make a difference, the drummer of this band was Ringo Starr, the guitar player was George Harrison, and the lead singer, Paul McCartney. Yep, I'm talking about the Beatles. And isn't it fascinating that 3 out of the 4 members of arguably one of the greatest rock bands ever, if not the greatest rock band ever, certainly the most influential rock band, they thought they weren't good enough to be in it. They didn't feel like they belonged. They each felt that they were like the odd man out. They felt they weren't important. They felt that they didn't make a difference in the band. Well, the law of life says, whatever you believe, you receive. Whatever you believe, you receive. And this law responds to your predominant thoughts and to your deeply held beliefs. And so the law of life is always working to prove you right. And it was Henry Ford who said, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right. Because the law works on whatever you tell it, not just with your conscious thinking, but with the belief patterns that are in your subconscious mind. And it works to prove that you are right. And so if you don't believe that you're a wonderful and important creation of life, if you don't believe that you make a difference, then you are giving the law the wrong instructions, and you're really living a lie, because this is not what you were created to be. You are a unique and valuable creation of life. And God, Spirit, infinite intelligence, made a conscious choice to incarnate as you on this planet, at this time, at this place. You are here by divine appointment. Now, the great Sufi mystic Rumi, he wrote You were born with potential. You were born with goodness and truth. He said you were born with ideals and dreams. You were born with greatness. You were born with wings. You're not meant for crawling, so don't. You have wings. Learn to use them and fly. Know this truth about you. According to the American Psychological Association, low self-esteem is the root cause of many of our problems. And low self-esteem is a lack of self-love. But you may wonder, how can I love myself when I see others and they're smarter and they're richer, they're more attractive than I am? Well, low self-esteem comes when we compare ourselves with others, and we actually feel greater or lesser than others when we compare. That's usually what happens. Now, the Desiderata says, if you compare yourself with others, you may become vain and bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than you. Your place in the universe is unique. You are a valuable creation of God. And it's important to learn to love yourself, because as you learn to love yourself, you will reveal your true God self, your true divine nature. You will reveal that part of you that is perfect, whole, and complete. You do this through study, through learning about this amazing power, this infinite intelligence that expresses through all of life everywhere. You learn about it through understanding your connection to it, that it seeks to express through it. As you study spiritual principles, as you practice every day with affirmations, practice mantras or meditations, or practice affirmative prayer. These are the tools and the skills that you can use to deepen and strengthen not only your awareness of, but your connection to this amazing energy and power within you. It's important to learn to love yourself, because as you learn to love yourself, you will reveal this amazing power that is within you. And this power is awesome, and I want you to know that it is a mighty power of love that sustains you, and it's a mighty power of love that keeps you safe. It's a mighty power that inspires you with its power. It's a mighty power that will cast out all fear, a mighty power that blesses and prospers you in all way, a mighty power that brings peace, a mighty power that harmonizes circumstances, and it is a mighty power, a mighty love that we were all meant to express. And when you really begin to live your life from this place, when you get a strong discipline, a strong spiritual practice, and know that you are made in the image and likeness of divine love, then your joy, your sense of purpose, your fulfillment, your ability to engage in life, and your conscious union with this amazing power will be amplified, it will be expanded, and it will be increased. And so will your ability to make a difference in life be amplified, expanded, and increased. And then your joy, your sense of purpose, a sense of fulfillment, your ability to engage in life fully, wowie zowie, life will be a blessing and a joy. So I encourage you, get a spiritual practice and use it. And we are going to learn more about how you can amplify this divine power in your life when we meet with our two guests today, Dr. Marlene Bricker, who's joining us on Skype, and we're focusing on her book, How Does Your Garden Go? And my co-host in the studio, Barbara Grimminger, a practitioner with the Center for Spiritual Living, Long Island. So we will be right back after this break with Spirituality Rocks.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divine.
Are you planning an event and want to include entertainment, but you're not sure where to turn?
Act1Entertainment.net has provided over 1,500 events with quality, affordable live entertainment at private parties, corporate affairs, festivals, bike rallies, and more. Act 1 will fit into your budget. They're friendly, reliable, and do all the legwork for you. They take all major credit cards. Log on to Act1Entertainment.net for a free, no-obligation price quote, or call 631-758-3505 for a brochure.
You'll be happy you did.
Like so many people, are your finances tight lately? Afraid to open your mail or even answer your phone? Well, take heart. You don't have to live like that. If you're 62 or older and own your own home, you can join the thousands of folks who have used safe and effective government-insured reverse mortgages. The government-insured reverse mortgages from Long Island's Senior Reverse Network allow you to stay in your home and turn equity into tax-free cash. Our government-insured reverse mortgages can eliminate mortgage payments, credit card balances, or just improve your lifestyle. Do yourself a favor and solve these problems now. Call the Senior Reverse Network, and our advisors will answer all of your questions about our reverse mortgage programs. We've helped scores of senior Long Island homeowners like you who now enjoy a worry-free retirement. Get the financial security and peace of mind you've dreamed about. Pick up the phone and call us at the Senior Reverse Network now to set up a free consultation.
Call 1-800-985-REVERSE. That's 1-800-985-7383.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Horsehair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my...
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, and I am so excited because the analytics, which means the amount of people watching the show, are off the charts. And that's just the analytics are for just the live views. And they tell me that there's at least 4 or 5 times as many views after show on YouTube, Ustream, etc. Thank you for telling your friends. Thank you for making this show the tremendous success that it is. I bless you, I appreciate you, and I love you. If you would like to be on Spirituality Rocks, or if you know of someone who you think would be a great guest on the show, call me. Call me. My cell number is 516-909-0103. That's 516-909-0103. Next week on our show, we have the president of the Centers for Spiritual Living, Dr. John Waterhouse, will be with us on Skype. And in the studio, we have the Reverend Karen Giganti from Sacred Spaces, and she's with the Center for Spiritual Living in Hicksville. But today, I have an absolutely fantastic show planned for you because I have with me on Skype Dr. Marlene Bricker, who wrote the book, How Does Your Garden Grow? Welcome, Marlene, to Spirituality Rocks.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Great to see you. And in the studio, we have Barbara Grimminger. She's a practitioner with the Center for Spiritual Living, Long Island. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure
it's
to
a
be
pleasure.
here.
Now, you know our format. It's a dialogue. We're not going to bombard Marlene with questions. So we're going to have a dialogue. And what we want to do is start with this question, Marlene. How would you define New Thought? And how did you get into New Thought?
Okay. I would define New Thought simply as God is your own understanding. So whether it's God or Jesus or Buddha or whatever you want to call it, that's what it is. And it's a way where you can just be really free to find your own path. How I got to it was I was raised Jewish, and I kept going to temple and to synagogues and to everything I could imagine. And I never could quite find where I fit. I wanted to know God. And I was invited to the Center for Spiritual Living in St. Louis, Missouri for a book review. And when I walked in the doors, I knew that that was home for me.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. And I'd like to ask you, how would you define New Thought?
I would say that New Thought is spirituality without religion.
Practical spirituality.
Practical spirituality
Okay.
without the confines of religion. I agree with Dr. Marlene that it is personal. However, I feel that it defines God in a different way. God is a neutral, responsive, loving presence. It is that creative intelligence that created the universe, and it operates through you. You are one with that spirit. So it's utilizing spiritual principles.
And a key component of New Thought is that we co-create with this
Yes.
power we call God through our thoughts
Absolutely.
and our
Yes.
belief systems. Okay, great.
Right.
Well, you know what? Dr. Marlene has a ton of books. I don't even know
Yes.
if I could name all the titles right now. However, I want to start with How Does Your Garden Grow? How Does Your Garden Grow is a fantastic book. And what I like about it is Dr. Marlene is an artist. So it's very, very colorful.
Beautiful.
It almost looks like a children's book because it's so colorful with pictures and the pages are colored. But the content is very adult. How Does Your Garden Grow talks about basic principles of practical spirituality. And the best use of the garden analogy that I've seen regarding how your
Yeah.
thoughts create your life experience. And that's what you were saying.
I did. I felt that way when I read it. The seed and the garden analogy, if you've heard it once in New Thought, you've heard it 100 times because it's very pertinent. The seed is the seed of thought that you plant, and what you experience comes out of that. But Dr. Marlene uses such clear language, and it sounds like metaphysical language in the definitions, but it's so clear. I think it's perfect for a newcomer to the teaching to start that translation process, because New Thought is really a new language. You're learning a new language of spirituality, and we have to get rid of some of that old language. So
Right.
she uses that very well. And then it's good for a newcomer, and it's good for someone who's experienced because it's fresh language. It gets you to hear it in a new way. So it's really effective.
Yeah, you know, I really appreciate you said that because we're having on the show in a few weeks, the end of October, the second to the last week in October, Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones. And he wrote a book on speaking religious science or New Thought. Religious science is one of the denominations of New Thought. Of course, there's unity and there's divine science as well. Because there seems to be our own jargon. Like we use words like demonstrate or manifest. And we use those words and people may not understand that we're talking about creating an experience in our lives. Marlene, in your book, talk to us about, you said that we are lovingly made by divine design.
Oh gosh, to me, it's so powerful because even when I do weddings and write a prayer, I always say that we were created by the artist of life. And for me, I just see everything as art. So my personal creator is one that does design each of us exactly as we should be. And that is the image that I was going for.
Now, do you believe in predestiny? And what does that mean if you do or don't?
I do because I take, and I believe Barbara also, she's with religious science, right?
Yes.
So for those of you out there who are familiar with religious science, there is a circle. And that circle has a V going right through it, which represents the oneness of each of us with the Creator.
Excuse me,
And
you're referring to a chart.
well, I'm talking about the circle of religious science. Yes, the line and then the V goes through, which is the symbol of religious science.
Thank you.
And there's three parts: spirit, mind, body. And it says that all thought comes from spirit. All thought comes from the Creator. So as I began to really analyze and study that, I went, if every single thought, if every single thing in life comes from the Creator, well then, for me, that would mean it looks as though I have free choice, but I'm really not sure that everything isn't pre-designed. So that's just my own personal thought. And as I said, my whole thing about New Thought is that each of us are encouraged to find what fits for us. And for me, that fits.
Right, but we're also absolutely teach that there's one presence and power that's in and all through life everywhere, and that our thoughts are creative. So then we do have choice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. You have what thought has created, thought can change. So that's one of the really reassuring principles that we learn, is that if you find yourself in a situation that isn't what you really want that doesn't feel right, whether it's in your health, your money, whatever. If it doesn't feel right, you have the power to access the one power to change that, and you do that with changing your thinking.
Exactly. In the book it says, God has given us a beautiful, rich, fertile thing called life. And so life is our garden. And it is ours to create as each of us chooses. So we get to choose.
Absolutely.
And, that's not always an easy thing to choose, because life is full of so much goodness. I think a lot of people choose by looking at what they don't want. I don't want discord. I don't want ill health. And so then they begin to look for what they do want. And I think that's how a lot of people come into New Thought, is by seeking.
Yes, I think so. I think many people find themselves in New Thought by not finding what they were looking for in other teachings. And Dr. Marlene, she put it so perfectly when she came to Center for Spiritual Living. She felt like she had come home. It's something in the teaching that resonates to something. Many people say that they knew it, but they didn't know they knew it until they heard someone talking about it or someone teaching it.
Well, yes, principles of practical spirituality include many values and very rules by which people live their life. And they didn't know about New Thought.
Right.
That's just amazing. We had on John Miller a few weeks ago, and he had that. He created the movie, that film documentary called What is New Thought? And that was just fantastic to watch and learn how New Thought has pervaded all aspects of our culture in many, many ways. But people
Very
don't
exciting.
it's very exciting, but people don't put that title New Thought
You hear
upon
it in
it.
a lot of modern music too, young people's music. It's really interesting.
Oh yeah, people are
Very
getting
exciting,
it.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, Harry Morgan Moses was on the show last week. If you hadn't seen that show, check out that show. It was spectacular. And Harry was talking about the numbers in North America of people who are aware of spiritual principle. The numbers were staggering. They were just fantastic. Dr. Marlene, this book, I love this book. It's called 10 Tiny Treasures to Change Your Life. Where can people buy this book?
Well, they can go to my website, which is marlenebricker.com, www.marlenebricker.com, and that one is great because it's taken the religious science 10 principles and made them very, very simple. So that's a direct religious science little book.
I love this, where you said that in the book, I'm perfect, whole, and complete because of the divine spark within me, and yet my personality, my humanness is the part of me that has room to grow and expand. I know you like that too.
I love that because the first two steps of treatment are you recognize that there's one power and then you're unified with it. And so in that statement, you have that unity with that divine spark. And yet it acknowledges, I think many people struggle with that idea that we're human. And why do I experience these things? Once I know I can use truth, why do I still have problems or issues? And it's because you are human. You're here to be human. God gave you a body. You're here to live life through that body and experience it, to have feelings and experience them, to create and have a purpose and do your perfect work in the world. So you're human from that point of view. And the ability to grow is, as you do have that human experience, it moves you forward. It moves you into, when you're aware of it, that there is a greater power in your life and a greater presence. So that's the part that's able to know it and to experience it.
Right.
So I thought that was a wonderful,
You like that part there?
I like that part.
And life is always for the greater expansion and expression of itself. So life is always going to grow and expand, whatever you're focused upon.
Right.
If you call it good, you call it bad, whatever it is. That's a spiritual principle. Yes?
Just wanted to throw one thing. My favorite one in there, if you can find that page, I don't remember which one it is, but it's when the guy's in jail. And it says that the law is always working, even when we forget it.
Treasure number 3.
Right, page 10.
Page 10. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, if you want to read it, you can, because I think it's so funny.
The law is always working, even when I forget. There's a universal law that's always working. When I am not co-creating the conditions of my life, I just get whatever comes my way. And then it goes on to say, my life is like a car, and I can choose to steer, or I can leave it to kinetic energy. Which would I prefer? I would much prefer to steer my car.
Yes, exactly.
That's great.
I like that. Mary Mann Morrissey has a prosperity program. And in it, she says, we create by design or we create by default.
Design or default.
Right. So the thing is, do it by design, because otherwise you just get what you're randomly thinking about. So you might as well direct your thinking towards what you really want and pull that into your life. The other good thing I like about that line is that it reminds us that the spiritual principles are like physical principles.
Yes.
They're working all the time.
Okay.
Gravity works all the time.
Right.
It's not going to let somebody float off the planet and hold somebody else down. It's working all the time for everyone, no matter who they are. Physical principles work all the time. And spiritual principles are the same way. And whether we think about it or not, we may forget, but we're still creating. Even though we may have forgotten that there's a law responding to us, it's still working.
Right.
So you want to take control, steer the car.
Let's learn to steer the car,
yes,
right?
That's a good one.
Well, we will be back after our next commercial break, where we're going to learn more about how to steer the car and look at more of Dr. Marlene Bricker's books. You can check out Dr. Marlene on www.marlenebricker, MarleneBricker.com. And Barbara Grimminger is a practitioner with the Centers for Spiritual Living in Hicksville, New York. And we'll be right back with Spirituality Rocks right after this break.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am
When your cable's on the fritz, you get frustrated. When you get frustrated, your daughter imitates. When your daughter imitates, she gets thrown out of school. When she gets thrown out of school, she meets undesirables. When she meets undesirables, she ties the knot with undesirables. And when she ties the knot with undesirables, you get a grandson with a dog collar. Don't have a grandson with a dog collar. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. When your cable company keeps you on hold, you get angry. When you get angry, you go blow off steam. When you go blow off steam, accidents happen. When accidents happen, you get an eye patch. When you get an eye patch, people think you're tough. When people think you're tough, people want to see how tough. And when people want to see how tough, you wake up in a roadside ditch. Don't wake up in a roadside ditch. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. When you pay too much for cable, you throw things. When you throw things, people think you have anger issues. When people think you have anger issues, your schedule clears up. When your schedule clears up, you grow a scraggly beard. When you grow a scraggly beard, you start taking in stray animals. And when you start taking in stray animals, you can't stop taking in stray animals. Stop taking in stray animals. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns. Excited to be here today. Thank you for telling your friends about the show and letting them know about Madhouse TV. You can also watch Spirituality Rocks on YouTube. We've had some incredible guests on our show these past several weeks, and we have some great guests to come. Next week, we have Dr. John Waterhouse from the Centers for Spiritual Living. And the following week, we have Dr. Frank Zamalin, past president of the affiliated New Thought Network, and he'll be here to talk to us all about that. Following up in October, we have Dr. Dennis Merritt Jones and Dr. Carol Lawson. So stay tuned. You can watch us. The shows are all archived on Madhouse TV, or you can check us out on YouTube. And so, joining me today on Skype is Dr. Marlene Bricker. You can check out Marlene Bricker, www.marlenebricker.com. She has some fantastic books. We're going to look at the rest of them. We just talked about How Does Your Garden Grow and 10 Tiny Treasures to Change Your Life. She has a book called All of It Is Good. She has a book, I Have a Story and You Do Too, and Kind Words Can Help. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about what is a practitioner. Or actually, I'm going to have the practitioner herself talk about what is a practitioner. Barbara Grimminger is a practitioner for the Center for Spiritual Living, Long Island, and you can check out that website by going to www.csl-longisland.org. Spell out Long Island. So it is www.csl-longisland.org. A practitioner is someone who you call upon for affirmative prayer. And it's always good to call on a practitioner when you're too close to a challenge or a problem, because they can be neutral. They are stepped out of judgment. They are committed to a daily practice of knowing who they are, their spiritual identity, so that they can stand in truth and do affirmative prayer for you and really make a difference in the world. Tell us more about a practitioner, please.
Well, a practitioner is a licensed, trained, professional prayer person. And what we do is do a prayer for a person, speak a prayer for a person, like you said, when they're too close to the problem, or when they're in that heated state of very maybe upset or whatever. Or we can work ongoing with a person to correct a pattern that they're not happy with. Whatever it is that they need, what we do for them is know the truth for and about them. And the reason that it's effective is that there is only one mind. And so the practitioner, what the practitioner affirms in their own mind is known in all minds.
There's one mind common to all.
Yes.
So when the practitioner speaks the truth, as it's called, or does affirmative prayer, they are linking to this one infinite intelligence, one mind, okay?
And the purpose of it really is to align your consciousness with the underlying truth of every situation. The underlying truth is that God is everywhere present in its entirety and in its perfection. So if you're experiencing a health problem, the underlying truth is that God is whole. And you know that truth for the person, and knowing the truth then draws it into your experience. So it's really wonderful. And what I like to point out to people, the difference between prayer and treatment, spiritual mind treatment is what the practitioner will do. And the difference is that we don't ask, we don't beg, and we don't hope that God says yes. We know and we affirm, like you said, it's affirmative prayer. We affirm that God wants, we're here by divine design to be happy, to be loved, to be supplied, all of that. We affirm that truth for ourselves and for the person that we're treating for.
Fantastic. I think that's such a wonderful description. And so, if you would,
Yes.
We opened up the show and we talked about really valuing yourself, that I am a unique and valuable creation of life.
Right.
And so would you please offer us an affirmative prayer on the awareness of being a unique and valuable creation of life?
Sure. It would be my pleasure. So I'll speak this word now for each and every one of us, to know that we are loved and to know how important we are to spirit. And so we know and affirm that there is but one life, one living presence, one living being, one power for good and only good. Whatever we choose to call it, we know that it is God, it is spirit, and it is perfect. And each one here knows that if there's only one, they are one with it. They are united with all that it is. Every aspect, every quality of spirit indwells each one. We are immersed in the atmosphere of spirit, and that atmosphere indwells us. Each one here knows that they were created once and only once. The universe conspired only once to bring forth each one. And so we know in that unique appointment with life that we are needed by Spirit, that we are important to Spirit, that this world would not be the same without each one here. Each one can be and do only what they can be and do. No one else can do it for them. There's no duplication. So in this moment, we just relax in the knowing that having been brought forth by love to do our own perfect work in the world, we just embrace that idea and just hold it to us that we are important to life, that we are important to Spirit, and that we are the only one who can be who we are. And we use that to build ourselves back up, to open ourselves back up to the truth about ourselves, that the love of Spirit indwells us, that the peace of Spirit indwells us, that the joy of Spirit indwells us, and that we are one with the world. And we let go right here and now of any comparison, of any sense of separation, of any idea that we're not good enough. All of this is just a suggestion that we have the power to turn away from it, to just separate ourselves from any belief that doesn't support us in our highest good. We're so happy and grateful to know this in this moment, that the life that created us can only support us, loves us truly and completely, and gives us full and total permission to love ourselves. With gratitude, this word is released now into the law, and so it is.
And so it is. Well, well, well. Thank you for that very powerful affirmative prayer.
You're welcome.
That was fantastic. And I want people to know that next week, Dr. John Waterhouse wrote a whole book, and it's called 5 Keys to Freedom. And it's about spiritual mind treatment, which is another word for affirmative prayer, spiritual mind treatment. And treatment can be as long as that was, or it can be very short. It doesn't matter. But there are specific steps that we're going to be learning about next week.
Great.
But back to today. Thank you again.
You're welcome.
Today, we have Dr. Marlene's books. All of it is good. And you know what I really liked about this? There's an opening letter in it. And all I want is for you to know me and be like me. That is how I created you, and you are me in action. So it's a letter from God's Spirit, infinite intelligence to you. And it starts, dearest child, and it's so beautiful. My plan for you is to realize that there is so much more for you to discover than just the 5 senses that you use to understand the world. And that everything you see is processed by your own subjective mind. But I want for you to know me and be like me and leave worry and fear behind. Open your mind and your heart and your soul. This is beautiful. Delicious reading.
Yes, it really is.
It's juicy, juicy reading. And then what you, as treatment you just said, in the book, Dr. Marlene says, every single treatment we make is simply a calculation of how we feel. Do we feel good or do we feel bad? It's simply as that. No, this she was talking about judgment, talking about judgment. So when we're talking about that and we decide, well, am I feeling the radiant energy of Spirit? Am I feeling peace? Am I feeling love? Or am I feeling joy? The bottom line in the book, what Dr. Marlene points out, is that God does only good. All there is God. So even in the midst of seeming tragic circumstance, because God is good, there's always good.
Right.
Talk to us about that idea, because sometimes it's very hard to see how good is in everything when things are really stinky.
Well, I totally agree, which is one of the reasons that I wrote that book. I think part of it was to convince myself, but no, it really goes much deeper. And that is because if God is all there is, and I see it that we as human beings, we measure everything pretty much by our 5 senses. And there are so many things that are faulty. You know, we might touch something and it feels like one thing, but it's really another. So what we look at to be, quote, bad or good is just simply our analysis of how it feels to ourselves. And since we don't really know the whole plan, it would be like baking a turkey on Thanksgiving and putting it in the oven, and it's supposed to bake for 10 hours, and you take it out after 5 hours and serve it. And everyone is going to say, oh my God, that turkey is awful. There is not a thing wrong with the turkey. We just didn't let it go to its fruition.
Okay.
So that's what I mean by it, is we cannot see God's plan. We are finite human beings looking at an infinite plan.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Fantastic. Yeah, very good, very good.
What I liked about that line is God only does all good all the time. I thought that was really important to remind people that this is a different God. New Thought talks about a different God. It's not an arbitrary God, a capricious God. It's a God that only does good all the time. So we can start to move away from that punitive God that we can't really trust. We don't know for sure if God is going to say yes.
That's a fundamental difference in New
It's
Thought. God
really
is not punitive. He's not a man up in the sky with a big long
always
beard.
on your side, always saying yes.
Always saying yes.
Yeah.
And this book is I Have a Story, and you do too. And it starts, this book is for you. You have your own story. Each of our stories are personally different, and yet each the same, game after game. And in this book, I Have a Story, and so do you. On page 4, it says, for sure there's a reason as well as a rhyme as to why I am here at this point in time.
It
Love
almost
the
sounds
rhyming.
like Dr. Seuss.
What?
Sounds like Dr. Seuss.
It sounds like Dr. Seuss, and the rhyming is just fantastic. These books are really so much fun. Yeah. If you know people who are beginning a New Thought, these are the books to buy and to get for them. And what was an important point here is that we are here on purpose to be and do what only we can be and do. Right. We are each a unique, valuable creation. And I've said time and time again on the show that our direct inheritance from this presence within us are divine ideas. So we merely need to ask. You can just say, okay, universe, reveal to me what is my life purpose? What do I need to know? What do I need to do? And watch the synchronicity that occurs. Keep stepping in the direction of your good and see where you're led. What led you to write these books, Marlene?
Well, usually I had things like the one I Have a Story. I did a women's retreat for a Unity church, and it was a whole weekend. So basically, our whole workshop was out of that book. Or the ones about kind words can heal. That was a workshop I wrote for a school district. I did a workshop for a group of counselors in a public school. So what I tried to do is I tried to take our New Thought, spiritual thought, and use it in the secular world without people realizing, because you really can't mix the two. So that's where most of them came from. They had specific purposes. I was teaching something and wanted something to go with it.
Right. Well, I find that when you're talking about New Thought, you could call the presence and power, or you can call it, you call it spaghetti sauce. It doesn't matter, because you're talking about a spiritual principle, the one and the one presence and power. So I love this. Everybody, everywhere you turn, people are talking about light. Wherever I do any research on the internet, everything is all about light and visualizing light. And I love this. You are the light. There is only one story. It's the same day after day and game after game. That this power seeks to express through you and as you. And you are a being of light and love. And that's a great story to tell, Marlene. We appreciate that you do so. We'll be back in just a few moments with Spirituality Rocks after this commercial break. We're going to talk more about Marlene's book, Kind Words Can Help, and talk more about what you can do to find practical spirituality in your neighborhood. Thank you for joining us on Spirituality Rocks. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner guidance. Peacefully, joyfully, I am divine.
Are you planning an event and want to include entertainment, but you're not sure where to turn?
Act1Entertainment.net has provided over 1,500 events with quality, affordable live entertainment at private parties, corporate affairs, festivals, bike rallies, and more. Act 1 will fit into your budget. They're friendly, reliable, and do all the legwork for you. They take all major credit cards. Log on to Act1Entertainment.net for a free, no-obligation price quote, or call 631-758-3505 for a brochure.
You'll be happy you did.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Horsehair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
I think this is a good time to tell you. You're doing okay, Mom. I can call you Mom, right? I know we haven't known each other very long, but you seem like a real keeper. You're not perfect. There was that strained carrots incident, but you're trying. You pick up my bottle every time I toss it out of my stroller. That's high comedy to an 8-month-old. You hum the Barber of Seville when you wash my hair. So cool. And your rub-downs are out of this world. Anyway, I want you to know how much I appreciate you. You know, right? How much I love you? You're doing okay, Mom.
Peacefully, joyfully, I am divinely guided. Peacefully, joyfully, I follow my inner.
Welcome back to Spirituality Rocks. I'm your host, Janine Burns, and I am ecstatic about the analytics for this show. Thank you so much. There's so many people watching this show. It's off the charts, and that is fantastic. Thank you for telling your friends about Madhouse TV. We are filming live in the Madhouse Studios, Deer Park, Long Island, New York. And what I love about Madhouse is there's just a vast array of shows on this particular network. My favorite, of course, is Tommy Marr's show on Monday night. Tommy Marr, his show is called the Maverick Soul Hour, and Tommy Marr is the Woodstock guru. He actually was on the show 2 weeks ago as my co-host. So check out that show. It's fantastic, and you'd be really surprised. He had 10 years after on recently. Amber Ferrari was on Monday night. It was really, really just fantastic. And so back to our subject at hand. We're with Dr. Marlene Bricker on Skype. And in the studio is Barbara Grimminger, Centers for Spiritual Living over in Hicksville. Barbara is a practitioner, and Barbara just pointed out to me she brought an affirmative prayer with her, and she gave what some might consider a longer treatment before, but here's one that she likes to use and that she uses often, especially for people who are having challenges. I'd like to read it to you. It goes like this: there is one universal life, and I am unified with it. I declare that within this divine life is contained all that I need to live a happy, healthy, and prosperous life. I accept this good gladly, turning away from any appearance to the contrary. I give thanks for the consciousness to accept my highest good completely and instantly now, and so it is.
And so it is. That was written by Dr. Raymond Charles Barker, a prominent New Thought teacher.
Yeah. You know, often I ask people on the show what's their favorite book, and I'm going to ask you both in a moment, and a lot of people will say their favorite book is The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. What is your favorite book, Dr. Marlene? What's your favorite New Thought book?
Oh, I would have to say Ernest Holmes with the Science of Mind.
The Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes, that's considered the textbook, and that is irrefutably an astonishing and fantastic book. What is your...
Well, I have two.
What are they?
One is The Creative Mind by Dr. Ernest Holmes.
Oh.
And that, I believe, is the precursor to the textbook.
Yeah, very famous ball player years ago. He talked a lot. He used those principles in it.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that because it has everything in it in a really concise form. It's
Creative
really,
mind, because there's also creative mind and success. So creative
it's
mind.
a little red book, and it has, what I love about it is it has a glossary in the back with really succinct definitions, new thought definitions. I love that for beginner.
What else?
And I like, I think it's good to have a daily read as part of a spiritual practice, especially for those that are new to teaching. So I like the 365 Days of Richer Living by Raymond Charles Barker and Ernest Holmes. You have, every day they have a little lesson and a little treatment. And it's very reassuring, really beautiful
Well, you
work.
know what I'm going to do? That just remind me, in a future show, I'm going to pick up copies. Their Universal Foundation for Better Living has a daily read. Centers for Spiritual Living.
Creative Thought,
Creative
Science
Thought,
of Mind
there's the Science
magazine.
of Mind magazine. Yeah, so there's a lot of, and there's a lot of things on the internet. Right now, one thing that I'm doing that I find to be absolutely spectacular, I have never gone deeper into meditation. You can check out 21-Day Mantra Meditation Journey. Google it. 21-Day Mantra Meditation Journey. It is absolutely fantastic. You can sign up, and then they give you the whole series so you can listen to whichever you want. But let's look back at this book. Kind Words Can Help. Why'd you write this one, Marlene? Kind Words Can Help.
Okay, actually, that's a workshop. And I did that for a group of school counselors in the Rockwood School District. It was for a whole group of elementary and secondary school counselors.
And what the people need to know, so that makes more sense, is that the book is letter written by a child to grown-ups about the impact of the grown-ups' words upon them. It's a very moving book.
Yes, wonderful.
And that was the whole thing, because no one has greater influence upon children than teachers, parents, well, actually every adult that they come in contact with. And of course we can expand it, that it also goes to each other. That Emily Dickinson once said, "A word is dead when it is said," some say. I say it just begins to live that day. So for me, words are breathing, living entities.
Say that again?
For me, words are breathing, living entities. You know, words have power. So what we say,
breathing. Okay.
So what we say impacts all of those ears that hear them.
Absolutely. And I don't know if you know about this, but I think Marlene is the queen of the acronym.
Oh, they're wonderful.
Marlene
they're
has
wonderful.
the best. And this acronym is on KIND. Kind Words Can Help. K, kind, keep inspiring new dreams. Words, ways of revealing data subjectively. Can is about caring and nurturing. And help is about hear everything and listen patiently. What a wonderful acronym for working
they're really
with
beautiful.
children. Yeah.
Really beautiful. C, sacred encounters everywhere. Just beautiful.
Yeah, what do we have other ones?
Speak.
Yes, I have here how everyone assesses reality. Add a T to hear, and now you hear with heart, and it changes everything.
Very good.
Pain, personal agony, invoking newness. There's just all kinds.
That's
Personal
thought-provoking,
agony,
right?
Invoking,
That is thought-provoking. Personal what? Invoking newness?
personal agony.
Invoking newness. Okay. Well, pain, you know, when
It
you're
can do that,
backed up
right?
against the wall,
That's right.
it forces you to
And
get a new
actually,
thought.
That was when we were at one of our Anton retreats.
Now that, just so people know, Anton is the affiliated New Thought Network. I've been a member for over 20 years now, and we have an annual retreat. In fact, this retreat coming up is in April of 2014, the second week in April, and we're going to be at Simpson Wood down in Atlanta, Georgia. And oh my gosh, do we have Mark Anthony Lord is going to be with us. We have David Alt. We're going to be drumming. Oh my gosh, it's going to be a great,
Sounds like fun.
fantastic conference. But tell us, we were at an Anton conference. That's where I met Dr.
So
Marlene. We were roommates.
I was doing an acronym, and there was a young lady, one of the minister's wives, and she was going through a lot of pain, and she goes, "Okay, I bet you can't come up with an acronym for pain." And it took a few hours, but I did, because that's when we change. Pain causes us to change.
Pain can cause us to change. It definitely can be an impetus for forward growth. Although, if you're not into practical spirituality, it must be really hard to manage pain. Because
agree.
you can just it's like quicksand. You can start thinking about the negative, talking about the negative, and then you begin to attract the negative. I often wonder how people who don't understand New Thought principles even manage, period, you know. You talk about making a difference in this book and spread positive energy around knowingly. That's speak. So spread positive energy around knowingly. And I love that. I love just walking around my life, going into the grocery store, going into the dry cleaner, and just speaking as much positive words that I can say, as much encouragement, because you know what? You never know where that person is and what they're doing in their journey. But to be a being of love and light and hope in their life, you never know with just a simple smile, you know, how much you can affect the world.
Yeah, it's an acknowledgement. You know, it's the presence meeting the presence, right?
The presence within, well, namaste. Well, I am in that place of wholeness within me, and you are in that place of wholeness within you. We are one. Namaste. Yeah. So, Marlene, which is your favorite book? Which is your favorite book? Or are they all your favorites?
They're probably all my favorites, but probably my most favorite is about the little soul kids, and that's actually, it's a child's novel, and it really isn't just a novel. I actually did a practitioner's retreat using that book, so that would have to be my favorite.
Well, tell us the name of the book.
The Magical Mystical Soul Kids.
The
Magical Mystical Soul Kids. It's like an antithesis to Harry Potter. Harry Potter's dark and scary, and the Soul Kids are happy and light.
The Magical Mystical Soul Kids. Yes, I started reading it. I didn't finish it yet, and it's quite engaging, and it's kind of exciting, too. Tell the readers a little bit more about it.
Well, it's about 5 little kids that were all born at different times in different places in the world, and their last name is Soul. Like we have Mary Soul from Australia, we have Young Soul from Youngstown, Ohio, we have My Soul from Brazil, and they all just do these wonderful, wonderful things because they're just totally pure spirit, and they change things in the world. They're only 4 years old, but each of them does something wonderful in their area. And at the end of this book, they all meet in one place. So it really is kind of a magical journey.
Fantastic, fantastic. So if you would like to pick up Dr. Marlene's books, go to www.marlenebricker.com. That's MarleneBricker.com. And it's been an absolute delight having you join us on Spirituality Rocks, Dr. Marlene. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Dr. Janine, and your show is fabulous.
I appreciate that. And in the studio is my compadre here, Barbara Grimminger. Just so thrilled, Practitioner Barbara, having you with us today.
Well, it's my pleasure, and we're also grateful that you continue to bring new thought to the world. It's wonderful.
Well, I appreciate that, and I love how was very complimented when you said to me that I'm always thinking of another way to teach practical spirituality, and I thought, hey, she's right. Yeah. God's always giving me great ideas, and I appreciate that. The website is www.csl-longisland.org, spell out Long Island, and you can find out about the Center for Spiritual Living, which is right over in Hicksville. And don't forget, there's a Unity Church up in Huntington. Last week, my guest was Reverend Saba Mchunguzi, and you can check it out, Unity Church of Healing Light. It's on Facebook, and you can even Google it. So, don't forget, next week, Dr. John Waterhouse, president of the Center for Spiritual Living. I promise that'll be a sensational show because his book is amazing. It is just fantastic. And so, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for telling your friends. If you have any suggestions or you want to be on the show, if you can bring some new thought to us, call me at 516-909-0103. Thank you again, Dr. Marlene Bricker and Barbara Grimminger. And I am the Reverend Dr. Janine Burns signing off for this week on Spirituality Rocks.